All of my questions are directed to Mitch Davies, the representative the Department of Industry has designated to answer our questions today. So, Mr. Davies, as you can imagine, many Canadians are wondering how their life can get back to some level of normalcy. So I'm wondering if the government or any official internal to your department has directed your department to prepare or participate in any kind of formally structured federal government-led national economic relaunch strategy that includes staged and safe lifting of mass isolation measures.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you for the question. In addition to the work I referenced in my opening comments in terms of moving Canada's industrial capacity to address the immediate needs to produce critical equipment, it's also important that obviously we look to when the economy is going to return and what conditions will be required. Again, those matters are under the care and responsibility of the public health experts. But certainly there are areas where innovation, technology, and the deployment of the right responses. Yes?
Mr. Davies, I have a very short period of time, so I'm wondering, my specific question was, have you been directed to participate in a formal strategy to relaunch the economy? Many other countries already have this type of a panel put together. And today the Prime Minister wasn't clear on his answer. So I'm wondering if the government or any department official internal to your department has directed your department to begin work on a formal framework for this.
Thank you for the questions. We in our department are working with the Department of Finance.
Mr. Davies, I'm not hearing you. I'm wondering if you're speaking loudly enough.
I do have it off mute. Apologies. Can you hear me now, Mr. Chair?
Still not hearing you.
It was working. Can you hear me now?
I can hear him, Mr. Chair.
Oh,
okay, fair enough.
Apologies. So I was just providing an answer that in the department, we're working with the Department of Finance, with the Department of Health, with the Public Health Agency of Canada, in looking into the issue that's been raised by the honourable member, which is obviously recovery and return to work, and working jointly with those departments on the strategies that will get us forward into that.
Is there a formal framework, though, is there a formal framework for this that the committee could review?
Mr. Chair, I do not have a formal document or framework that I would introduce at this time. It is a conversation that's very much ongoing in the Government of Canada.
Thank you. I'll now ask some questions with regard to a National Post article that reported that the federal government is undertaking efforts to assist provinces in preparing contact tracing systems related to COVID-19. Has the government or any official internal to your department directed your department to prepare advice to the government on potential privacy issues related to utilizing individual testing data and contact tracing as part of a strategy to begin lifting mass isolation measures?
Mr. Chair, I'm not familiar personally with any specific information related to the question raised by the honourable member. It could also be a question posed to the Public Health Agency of Canada or Health Canada in respect of health data of Canadians, which is not a matter under our direct responsibility.
Your department actually has responsibility for managing PIPEDA and as such oversight of the Privacy Commissioner. So I'll ask, has your department given the minister any advice regarding the concept, has the government or any official internal to your department directed your department to prepare advice to the government on how to mitigate potential privacy issues related to using cell phone location data as part of a COVID-19 contact tracing system?
Mr. Chair, I would take the question of the honourable member on advisement and return with information to the committee to answer the question. It's not an area in my responsibility in charge of the industry sector that I have a direct awareness of or information. I could provide the information follow up to the committee.
Okay, you are the member who has been provided by the industry committee to answer our questions, and there's a lot of concern in the public about this right now. So has your government or has the government or any official internal to your department directed your department to work with any private sector technology providers to assist in developing COVID-19 contact tracing systems? And if so, has your department has the department directed you or anyone else to begin negotiating the terms of individual data usage with these companies?
So, Mr. Chair, I am aware of a number of companies and offers from the private sector, from the nonprofit sector to assist the government particularly in the area of supporting contact tracing, use of data. There's actually already offers that are available through the private sector with anonymized data in that regard. That is my awareness of that question. I think if there were specifics on any legal or other policy work that relates to the question raised by the member, we'd be pleased to provide that information. And I apologize.
I'm just wondering
at hand.
I'm just wondering how you can be aware of the government working with private sector entities to develop contact tracing methodology that uses individual data, yet not be prepared to come to committee to answer whether or not the government has directed you to start to address or certainly come up with mitigation strategies related to privacy issues that might be related to that type of work. It just seems odd to me.
Mr. Chair, I'm in charge of the industry sector in the department, so I don't have responsibility in my group for the framework legislation for PIPEDA for the specific matter that's been raised by the honourable member. I obviously will endeavour to take that question back to our department to ensure that it's properly addressed.
Are you aware of any work that your government or your department might have done, any advice that's been provided to the government with regard to how to mitigate violations of individual privacy in a contact tracing scenario?
Ms. Rempel Garner,
I just like the end of my question. Well, everyone else got the end of their questions. No, that was the stall for a technical issue. I'm timing it. Whatever, you can cut me off. That's fine.
Mr. Chair, I appreciate the question and the importance of the question, and I apologize not having a specific area responsibility where I could provide more information, but I certainly will endeavor to ensure that that is provided as a follow-up to the committee. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Rempel Garner. We go now to Dr. Pawlowski.